Welcome into the Warchant.com report. I'm Jeff Cameron of ESPN Radio alongside Corey Clark and Gene Williams, Warchant.com, of course. And this is not going to be a fun show. We have to document what took place. But before we do, a reminder, Florida State, NC State. Noles on the road playing at 3:30 at NC State. That game to be televised on ABC. Okay, here we go. 59-10, an historic home loss. Takeaways from that game? Well, my goodness gracious. Where do you start? Where do you want to go? Well, first quarter started off well, Gene. Yeah. I thought that the team met with the requisite intensity necessary to perhaps pull off an upset. Then they roughed the kicker and decided to quit. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's funny. You look at first quarter, they competed. They forced 3 straight punts. They were moving the ball, except for the fact that, well, as you mentioned, stuff like that happens. You drop 2 passes. You do a snap over the quarterback's head. I mean, other than that, the offense was okay, but you were getting stops. You were in the game. First quarter, you look at the stats, are almost even. That's pretty impressive. But the thing that's bothered this team going back to 2016, and that is not handling adversity. When they had that kick, that roughing the kicker, they got a quick touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 14-0 at that point. Ball game. It's just, we're done. You felt the energy go out of the stadium, and the team just kind of laid down at that point. I mean, that's unbelievable. But again, this is what will it take us to do going forward, is how do you change the culture of this team to not just fold up ton every time something goes wrong. And I'll ask you this real quick before I ask you. Why did they take such a huge step backwards? I'm of the mindset we predicted huge losses. We both said Clemson was going to win this game going away. So to me, it's not the result. I think I said 41-10 and it ended up being 59-10, whatever. It's the way that it happened. And why do you think they took such a huge step back? Is it competition, or is it that he has not found a way to impact the culture enough yet? Well, I mean, competition, we knew. I think of all things being equal, they compete. I think the scores we predicted last week probably would have been pretty much around that range. But I think you've got veterans on the team that are supposed to be the leaders that are the problem. I mean, they're going to lean on those guys. And if those guys are going to be throwing punches, are going to be quitting on the team, that's going to resonate throughout the team. So I think that's a problem. There's an inner cancer on the team that needs to be, frankly, cut out. Corey, how does one fix a culture that is this damaged? Whether you've inherited it or not, you've got to make changes. You've got to figure out a way to make it happen. Do you just start benching a lot of these veteran guys that are maybe guilty of this?
I think a good start would be to fix the offense. Okay. If you fix the offense, I think the culture gets better.
Because they don't think, that first?
We're down 7-0, that's a wrap. We can't score. We're down 14-0, the game's over. Building a culture, changing a culture, that can take a while, but it doesn't mean it has to be 3 or 4 years. I mean, we have countless examples, and we've rattled them off the whole season about guys in year 2 that have turned things around. It can be done, but man, I'm not joking. The offense is so bad. It might be the worst in Power 5. It is an awful, awful offense, and it was not good last year. It's not like he took an offense that was 8th in the country and turned it into this. It was really bad last year, but it's awful. And when you get down, say, 14 points or 17 points to a team like Clemson, well, we all knew it was over in the press box. Mm-hmm. So they knew it was over on the sideline too. I mean, I'm not saying you should ever quit. You should still compete. You should still try to dominate your man, even if you're getting dominated. But until that offense becomes competent, I mean, what are we doing here? But it can't become competent until they get an offensive line that can block. And they certainly weren't going to block Clemson's defensive line. Those first-rounders, that was never going to happen. That played out. I feel like that played out kind of how we thought it might. We might have all got that one right. That was a mismatch, a bit of a problem, if you will. Maybe not the guy that was sitting in this chair last week, because I can't remember what he got replaced this week. He did. Who knows why that happened? Who knows? We got to go with guys who are going to do the show for all segments. Yeah, for real. All right, so we look ahead. It's NC State this weekend, followed by Notre Dame and Boston College, and then Florida at the end of the year with the rivalry game there. I guess I would ask this question, Gene. Do we even need to bother to look at the 36-year bowl streak? What is it you're looking at with these remaining games for Florida State to take away something positive? Yeah, if you're holding out hope that Florida State will extend it to 37, forget it. Go home. It's not going to happen. I can't see it. Well, look at this. Call it a day, boys. You got 4 wins against teams without a pulse. I mean, they're awful teams if you won against. When you play a team that's any good, you don't do very well. Look at the last 4 games. You've got 3 teams are ranked. NC State, you go on the road, they're, I think, 30th when you take the other votes. Maybe you get lucky and scratch out a game. So, I mean, I think that's gone. I think really you got to focus on improving the offense even a little bit and getting guys who will fight for 4 quarters. I mean, that may mean benching, may mean looking to the future, may mean overhauling a lot of things, playing some young guys. But
you're irrelevant in 2018. Nothing that happens these last 4 games is going to change that. You need to start looking ahead to 2019 and beyond because this season's done.
We may have gotten our answer as it pertains to the starting quarterback with the press conference that happened earlier this week. So, Corey, this could be moot. But if DeAndre Francois were healthy enough to start, big if, would you start him?
No. I think I've seen enough. I think we've all seen enough. Again, my man, he's a real tough kid. He throws a good ball when when he has time to throw. He can put it on the money. He's got a really nice arm. He has the mobility of Chris Winkie with a bad ankle. Like if Chris Winkie had a sprained ankle, that's what DeAndre Francois moves like right now. I know he was injured last year. I guess he's not fully recovered, or something happened in the offseason or maybe he was never that mobile to begin with. I don't know. But James Blackman is in that limited time we saw him against Clemson, he can move more in the pocket than DeAndre can. That really hurts things when your quarterback is a statue, and he is. Even when they do the design runs, he's running for 2. It looks like there's a hole there. He runs for 2 yards and slides. It's pointless. So in this offense, I think DeAndre Francois is a better college quarterback than James Blackman. I do. I think in a normal offense that has a normal offensive line, not a disaster of an offensive line, I think you would play 12. I don't know why you would keep doing it at this point.
And I would quibble with you in this way, though. This is a offense that a lot of college teams like to run currently.
I mean, just offensive line-wise.
I agree with you there, but I'm saying in this particular offense, in terms of reading it, understanding who you're reading, the math, and I'm not so sure that DeAndre would ever be your guy in this offense right now because we've had enough time to see him struggle with that aspect of the game.
But don't you think, to interrupt you real quick, because that's what I want to do, you don't want to see DeAndre for another 16 games, do you?
No.
Okay, but that's what I think. Maybe these last 4 games are an audition for James Blackman to see, okay, can he get it done in 2019? Because I don't know that you can do this for another 16 games.
Or are you convincing Sam Howell that he has no competition when he
gets
in there?
It's all on the table.
Well, and I would also say this, and I don't want to talk about and besmirch DeAndre Francois' reputation in the locker room, but one thing we do know is that the guys really do like James Blackman. That's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
And they will play hard for him. I have a sense
and when they get in a scrape in an alley, they'd go to him, wasn't it? I don't know if that was Aslan who asked that question, but he brought that up about if you're in an alley and you're like, James Blackman, that skinny quarterback. But that shows you how much they respect this kid and they like him. And you can see when he went in there, the energy on the sideline changed.
Take a look at NC State's offense, good quarterback certainly, and their defense when we come back on the Warchant.com report.
Prime time in football paradise. On November 9th, Florida State travels to South Bend, Indiana to take on Notre Dame. Make the trip and take the stress of planning off the table with a package from Gameday Excursions. From a yacht party through downtown Chicago to a pregame tailgate or transportation from Chi-Town to Notre Dame Stadium, Gameday Excursions has you covered. Head to GameDayExcursions.com to book your trip and be sure to use the promo code WARCHANT for a $10 discount. Check out GameDayExcursions.com.
Welcome back to the Warchant.com report. Florida State traveling to face NC State. Ryan Finley, some people project him to be a first-round quarterback. He certainly gets the ball out of his hands very quickly. Tough to get to him. He's accurate when he has time. 13 touchdowns on the year, over 2,200 yards passing. It's hard-pressed to find a way that you think this secondary can hold up against Ryan Finley. What have you seen from him that makes it difficult?
He's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Accurate. He gets rid of the ball.
So what we'll do here is,
I've been thinking about this. Like, what should Florida State do? I know he likes to be aggressive. I know he likes to blitz a lot. I know he likes to play man. I don't know that. Maybe make them have to go down the field, play more zone than you're used to, than you usually do. Because I just don't think, for a lack of confidence, either that or just play your freshman, which he might do anyway. He might just go to A.J. Litton and Asante Samuel. But I still think you should back off a little bit, man. Make them have to throw 5- and 6-yard passes. Quit giving up 70-yard touchdowns.
Been a lot of problems in terms of communication and understanding in the back end of the defense when we're in zone.
Yeah, well,
and so he's reluctant to do it, and I think that's part of the frustration too. I mean, Gene, when you look at this and we talk about NC State's offense, but we also look at their defense, they've given up a lot of points. Could we get into a shootout?
I don't think you want to get in a shootout with anybody with this offense. That's not,
James Blackman's at the helm this week, my man.
That is not the formula for Florida State to try to win this game. The one thing, a couple sobering things. They don't have a great defense. That's obvious, especially the last couple of games. And I will say what's kind of a sobering statistic on this is a defense that does not travel, but they're actually decent at home. Okay, here's a stat. They were giving up 37 points and 445 yards a game on the road. At home, they're giving up 16 points and only 278 yards a game. So they've actually been pretty good at home. Here's what's also interesting about them. They are number 10 nationally against the run, but they are 123 in passing yards allowed. So again, it's not like Florida State was going to run the ball anyway. But it comes down to, can you block again for whoever's at quarterback? You'll be able to pass against them, but you have to have pass protection. They have 20 sacks on the season. They can get to the quarterback. That's a little bit scary right there.
Even when they had time, though, this past week, I actually thought the offensive line early was giving him time in the passing game, and it just didn't happen. You got to catch the ball. That's a bit of a problem, too. And one thing, and I want to ask the question about if you could put one player in that's not in now, I mean, prior to now, who would you pick and all that? I just wonder, does anything change with the level of intensity and focus this week, given all the talk we've had about what just took place on Saturday? Willie coming to the press conference saying he recognized that players quit, that it was embarrassing, it was unacceptable. The follow-up press conference, I don't think he backed away too much. He just wasn't going to publicly shame anybody.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
He mentioned suspensions, but he really wasn't going to get into details. How much change do we see on Saturday on the road against Cincy State?
I mean, he can't replace a whole team. He's got to put 22 out there. But I do think that, I would look for more freshman wide receivers to play, for sure. And I would look for maybe other running backs to get more carries, to get more touches, even if it's Anthony Grant. I mean, just try something. Cam Akers was bad in that game.
He was really bad in that game. I don't know what's going on with Cam Akers. I'm sure he's immensely frustrated. We know that. He's running behind a porous offensive line, but there's no excuse for dropping that ball. And I mean, that's
fumbling another.
And that's a big play. I mean, that catch, they're probably going down the field there. So it's curious. And it leads me to this, because people are going to ask about the changes. Guys, if you had the opportunity to put one player in the starting lineup this week, not a quarterback, who would you pick, Jim?
Oh, so I can't pick Sam Howell?
No, you can't. Yeah.
We heard what was all the buzz during preseason practice about this little 3-star kid from out Pensacola that was an afterthought recruiting who came in, this Keyshawn Hilton kid. We got a small sample. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be like that. That was against some Clemson scrubs. But this is the kind of guy you want on your team out in the field, because he's a guy who has always overachieved in his whole life. He defies the odds. The players really like this kid out there. I mean, those are the kind of guys you want on the field. And I'll say one thing. It seems like you mentioned those freshman wide receivers. The little glimpse we got of these guys, they're really good. It looks like Willie Taggart recruited some really good freshman wide receivers. What are you going to lose at this point? I mean, your veterans are out there throwing punches, dropping passes. I don't think you can get much worse. So why not build these guys up? They're your future. Let's go to them.
Who are you going with?
Man, one of the defensive ends. You know how I feel about
Briggs.
Brian
You've got
Burns.
great
Briggs,
passion.
Maybe the kid that missed the first
Xavier
month.
Peters.
You can play these last 4 games and still have a red shirt.
That's right.
So I want to see something.
You're not going to be able to get Finley anyway, right?
That's my point. That was my thinking, is so at least get some guys some work, and also maybe there's something there with those guys, because I think we've seen enough of the other guys to know. All right, we got Brian Burns, but what are you going to have next year after he leaves?
Yeah.
And you got to get. I feel like you should get some of these guys playing time, because you're going to depend on them next year.
Yeah, there'd be a series of young players that you get into this game. Now that they're not at jeopardy of losing their red shirt, I think you got to go en masse with a lot of these young players.
Amari Gaynor, too, would be one that
if he's healthy enough, that's
is,
actually who I was going to go with, Amari Gaynor. I would also start Marvin Wilson. I know he plays a lot, but he doesn't start. He doesn't start.
Seem to do anything.
Is there any particular reason why we're not starting Marvin Wilson? I mean, that's a reward, by the way, and I'm being serious. That kid's out there laying it on the line. This team's getting boat raced in the second half, and he's in the backfield play after play. I mean, what are we doing here? That kid should be the leader of your team.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any question.
Well,
that guy.
And, we have access to those Pro Football Focus grades. And, I mean, consistently he grades out the team. Even though he's not starting, he grades out the top guy. He had the highest grade of anybody this season on defense this last game against Clemson. So, I mean, every metric you look at, he should be out there as many plays as you can.
This next segment will be a lot of fun, guys. We get to look at the financial challenges facing Florida State because of attendance problems amongst other things. That'll be a joy. Stay with us. Warchant.com report returns in a moment.
It's football season in Tallahassee, and the only place to go for FSU apparel and merchandise is Garnet Gold. Locally owned and operated by Seminoles for Seminoles for nearly 40 years. Garnet Gold has the best selection of FSU merchandise in town, but what we really sell is tradition and passion to serve you, the true Seminole fans, at all 3 of our locations, West Pensacola Street, Killarn, and our flagship store across from Regal Cinema. Online at garnetandgold.com. Shop local and go Noles.
Welcome back to the Warchant.com report. Don't forget, folks, GameDayExcursions.com for details on packages available for the FSU Notre Dame game coming up. I know, lost season, but good times in Chicago, good times in South Bend. It's the experience, folks, including a bus trip from Chicago to South Bend on game day, tailgate party, a yacht party, and more. GameDayExcursions.com. Use the promo code, don't forget that, Warchant. for $10 off. Details as far as the game goes, go to warchant.com for this weekend, and you'll get an update on where that's going to be shown. And I'll just tell you again, 3:30 ABC. And now on to business. If FSU falls short of making a bowl game, which now certainly appears likely to everybody watching, how difficult is it going to be to sell season tickets for the 2019 season? Obviously, if money is a concern, there's a lack of excitement and a lousy home schedule to boot. I'm going to start with you, man, because my goodness gracious, this is not good, and I'm sure you're hearing it from people behind the scenes.
I say this may be the time Andy Miller wants to pull an Urban Meyer and, get his retirement, do whatever, and step
spend
aside.
time with his family.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to do that. So you got to look at this, because every year since I've been here, there's always been some excitement, something to sell. I think about the last few years. I mean, you had the new coach this year, all the hype and excitement of lethal simplicity, all this coming in with him.
Change, yeah.
We forget in 2017 they were top 5. I mean, obviously
the Alabama game.
The year before they were top 5. Now the pollsters blew it, but that doesn't matter. You had the hype, you had the excitement. Then, of course, you were top 10 before that. You were number 1. You had Jameis Winston, and then you had Jimbo Fisher building the program back up. So, I mean, for a long time, there's always been something positive. What are you going to have next year? You have an unranked team, probably didn't make a bowl game. You got a horrific home schedule. You got Miami. That's it. Miami, maybe they're preseason top 15 or something. They're not very good. That's it. So you don't have a good schedule to sell. You don't have a ranked team to sell. You have a team that didn't make a bowl. How do you promote this program and get people to buy tickets and get booster contributions?
You could have the slogan be, we're not going to lose 8 games like we did last year.
We're going to do anything.
Anything.
Do something.
Do something
Anything different.
I don't know what you do, because the product speaks for itself. And I guess that leads to a bigger question. How much of this fan base, what percentage of this fan base do you think Willie Taggart has lost in year 1? Whether you think it's fair or not, just out of curiosity, how many people you think were, I'm not in love with the hire, but I'm not so sure, I'll give him a break, are now looking at this, coupled with 3 straight years of disappointment?
Lost as in he can't do it. Like
they're not renewing tickets.
They're not renewing tickets. They don't believe. They're not invested emotionally, financially. They're just not on board.
Man, I will say I think it's going to probably be the biggest drop off in season ticket sales they've had maybe ever. I don't know if it's 10, 20% drop off. I mean, what do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I was at least that, because the schedule is so bad. Again, like, number one, we're forgetting they're probably going to be riding a 5-game winning streak going into next year. I don't know if it turns it around. So, and they'll win the Gator Bowl against whoever, because they're going to be 8-4.
In that case, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's going to be a 10 to 20% upgrade.
Upgrade.
But again, maybe don't put a really appealing game over in Jacksonville.
Completely agree, and this has to stop. It's something bad for college football in general. I talk about
but
this
you're
a
not
lot.
making money out of that one. I get the Atlanta one, the Dallas one. You got a huge paycheck. You're just breaking even, and you're screwing your season ticket holders.
It's so short-sighted.
But you also, apparently, with all that money that you made, went ahead and had budget cuts twice since then.
Right.
So how much more money did you make? I mean, either you're making a lot of money on those things or you're not. And at this point, you screw all the local businesses, and people get furious about it. And that's not good. Keys to victory, boys. Here we go. All right, let's give us 3 keys to victory for Florida State and NC State. I'll start with you, Gene.
How about limiting mistakes? I mean, just a general thing. Let's see. We had 16 penalties, 3 turnovers, 5 drop passes, a snap over the quarterback's head. Clean half of that up. Maybe you're somewhat competitive.
My goodness gracious, right?
Special teams. I mean, don't have the worst special teams in college football, which was in place last week.
Pretty low bar to clear.
And then just block anybody. Just block anybody.
You see a guy, you hit him.
Yeah, just fall down.
Unless it's on special teams, because then it's going to be in the back.
Right.
Because we really are good at that.
Yeah, they love blocking the numbers.
We're good at that. No, I think, the recipe for success here is same as it was when they went on the road against Miami. And I actually think this is doable here. Keep it in front of you, like you were saying, Corey, maybe a little bit more zone tackle, force them to go on long drives. I think if you can block it up a little bit, that you have a chance to put points on the board against NC State. So I'll say score early to kind of take the fans out of the game a little bit and give yourself a fighting chance to be in the fourth quarter.
Throw the ball to 15, man. I'm tired of it. Yeah. I don't understand it.
Was it 4 catches, 55 yards this weekend?
He probably had 8 or 9 targets, but a couple of them were just completely out of bounds that he had no shot at. And I know one of the plays where I don't know if you remember it, I think it was in the second quarter, or maybe late in the first quarter, they had max protection. And I think it was a 1 or 2 person route. And it was Terry on a post. And of course he got sacked before he had a chance to throw the ball. But that's a touchdown. Dude ran right by the cornerback. Middle of the field, it's a touchdown. He just couldn't get rid of the ball. Throw it up to my man 15 times if you have to. He'll either draw a flag or go score a touchdown.
He's a good football player.
I like him, man.
Again, I want to ask you guys, because we sit there in the press box and watch this, and how many times do you see when Francois gets behind center and you see one-on-one coverage out with
I mean,
Terry
that
out
every
wide.
time.
Why can't
It's
he
an
just yell
automatic.
touchdown, which means fly route? He's just going to throw it down. I mean, he's a big guy. Worst case, it's incomplete. Why don't you know
when you identify single coverage on him, I think you
But
go
they
to him
don't do
every
it.
single time.
Ever.
I know.
Almost never do they because they want to get it to Nooney's hands for a 3-yard gain. So I think throw it to 15, score more points than NC State.
That's a good one too.
Neither one of you guys even touched
I didn't bring that one up. Yeah.
You guys didn't even touch on that. And yeah, somehow find a way to get some pressure on Finley. I know it's hard. They're going to take out, and I think they're going to take. He got hit a few times against Syracuse. Like they actually did get to him. They still scored 41 points, but they're going to try to take 99 away. One of the other guys on the other side needs to go make a play. Go make a play. You guys are at Florida State. Your defensive ends. Go show it. Go showcase that ability, Jeff.
I like it. You're imploring.
I'm imploring.
Please, we beg of you, make some plays. We're dying over here. It's very difficult to watch, guys. My feelings are being hurt by your inability to make plays. Can we start making some plays?
Please.
Iowa at Purdue. It is Purdue minus 1.5. You say what?
Boilermakers.
All right.
Go Boilermakers.
I'm going to go with Iowa to bounce back after a disappointing loss to Penn State.
I like Purdue on that one.
All right.
Because Purdue had a disappointing loss too, didn't
They did.
Yeah.
Georgia's given 9.5 at Kentucky. Oh, meaty.
Well, that's the fighting Stoops there.
Yeah. What you got? What are you going to do?
I think Georgia's going to win, but I think a little emotional win over Florida. Maybe they don't a little sloppy there.
I'll take Georgia minus 9.5. What are you going with there, partner?
I think Georgia's got a chance to. Kentucky doesn't play in a lot of games like this where it means so much. I mean, they're going to go win the ACC East if they
How
win this
about
game.
this? They are, yeah.
So I feel like they might implode a little bit. Maybe a little too. The stage might be a little too big. So I'll take Georgia, given the point.
I think the other reason is that Kentucky's offense is dreadful, so I'm going to take Georgia.
Not, but their defense is legit.
Yeah, but Georgia's going to score enough there.
Let's hope.
All right, Alabama minus 14 at LSU. It was interesting to see that number. LSU at home, not accustomed to being 14-point underdogs, but I certainly understand it because I don't know how LSU is going to score, so give me Bama minus 14. What do you do?
It is a 7 p.m. game, and you know that is a tough environment there at night, but my rule is I don't ever go against Nick Saban, so.
And I think Tua is impervious to that stuff.
Yeah, I agree
like
with
Jameis was as well. Not current.
He actually thrived on
Jameis.
Yeah. This particular version is it's got issues, but yes, I agree with you.
All right, so I'll take Alabama.
West Virginia at Texas, and the annual disappointing teams bowl, if you will. Texas coming off a loss, of course they are, to Oklahoma State, given 2 to West Virginia. I'll take West Virginia.
I thought Texas had a defense. What happened? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're better at home. I don't know. In this one, I'll flip a coin. I'll go with Texas.
Longhorns at home, they don't lose.
There you go. Penn State at Michigan minus 10. Michigan's going to roll big. I'll give the 10.
I don't know. I'm ready for Harbaugh to fall on his butt a little bit here. I'm going to go with Penn State.
All right.
Michigan
big. Texas A&M at Auburn. Auburn minus 5. There we go. Fun football game there. That's a bit of a war. I'll take Auburn and give the 5.
That'll be fun to watch. Yeah, I'll go with Auburn on that. Right.
I like Jimbo. Jimbo on the
Does
right.
he fall to 5-4 if they lose that one?
Well,
maybe 5-4.
Yeah, maybe 5-4. He's 4-3 against Division I teams this year.
And 20-15 in his last 35 against Division I teams. If anybody's keeping track.
Yeah, so not real good there. And finally, Florida State's getting a robust 7 on the road against NC State. Give me all 7 of those points, baby. Give me the Noles plus 7. An inspired effort. They lose in a heartbreaker 31-24. How about that? There you go.
Jeff, surely you jest.
I'm going to take Florida State plus 7. I don't believe in NC State at all. I think NC State's garbage. There you go.
There you go.
27-17 Wolfpack in the Wiz Palace. It's hard to win in the Wiz Palace.
3:30 in the afternoon on a non-fair weekend.
Man, they don't care. It's Raleigh. They're going to get after it.
They're already starting, Jeff.
They only know one speed.
They already started. Those balloons are being filled. You're taking?
I will take.
You feel it. You feel my Florida State pick. I know you do. I can tell.
I think they're going to lose 31-30 on a last-second field goal.
There it is. So you're taking Florida State. You're taking Florida State.
Yeah, I'm the negative Nelly here.
How about that? Yeah, I think it's a big bounce back with the young kids starting an influx and enthusiasm, focus, intensity.
How cool would that be if they actually at least have, even if you lose a game like that, with all the young guys out there, I think that would be great.
Or they could lose by 50.
That's possible if they quit.
Yeah,
if they've truly quit, then just disregard everything I just said. But we can't know that.
When do you think we'll know? For like 5:15 p.m.?
I think we'll know midway through the second quarter.
Yeah, about 4:30,
midway through the second quarter, somewhere in there.
As soon as somebody makes a bonehead mistake, do they give up?
Do they give it up? Yeah, that's it. Good job, Aslan, as always. And for Corey and Gene, I'm Jeff. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you next time on the warchant.com report.